Hello, Vintage Drums Talk friends. This is Jim Messina once again, coming to you from Port Charlotte, Florida, in my studio. I have some guests to present to you today. I'm really excited because this is our first time doing this type of interview, okay? I have my good old friend that I've shown you before, and you know of him. He's that guy with all those drums, Tim Northup from the Northup Drum Museum. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jim. How are you?
Well, I'm getting through it. I'm in good shape for the shape I'm in, okay?
All right,
But
that's
I'm
great.
so excited now. I've got a lot of footage to show of you and your museum, but today is a special day because you have a special guest that I'm going to give you the honor of introducing. Go ahead.
Who? Where? This guy?
Well, I didn't know if you knew he was sitting next to you,
Oh
but yeah.
God, he is here. Okay.
Well, I heard that the place was haunted, but
We've all seen this guy's videos on the tube. So this is Mr. Alan Sticky Wicket from England, all the way from England to visit the Northup Drums Museum here in person.
Yay!
Live. He finally got here.
hello,
after years.
Sticky.
Made it. Hello.
Sticky, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. I'm
Likewise.
telling you, I've watched your videos and I was mesmerized because I thought I was transported back to 1942. Here's this guy playing on an old trap set perfectly, for the era, playing along to a track. And I must commend you on that. You did a fantastic job. Your reputation precedes you. I would like to know a little bit what you're doing over there in England before we get into our discussion about Tim's museum, which it's kind of hard to hold back on that because everybody that goes to that museum, they're just floored. Okay, but we want to know a little bit about you first, Sticky. What did you do in England? Where are you from? Let's hear it.
Well, I was born in Birmingham and moved to London, but currently I'm with my new wife living on the Welsh borders. We got married in June. Career-wise, well, I've done lots of rock and jazz in the years, but over the last 20 years, really, I've been concentrating more on my swing orchestra, playing some jazz gigs and some sessions, and collecting vintage drums just like Tim. But in the last few months, I've actually been on tour with Van Morrison, so everything's on a little bit of hold. But the good thing is, at the end of the tour, I could manage to come up here. My wife came over, so we're having the most wonderful time in this amazing place with this amazing gentleman.
Here he comes. You know, he makes me sick, Sticky.
I had to do that for you, Jim.
Now look, Tim and I, Sticky, met when I was selling off my collection. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with me at all, but I've been collecting for a long time. I've had this website called Vintage Drums Talk and the show and everything. I don't know if you've seen it, but I finally decided to sell off my rather extensive collection. Tim was one of the biggest buyers and one of the first people to call. We did a lot of negotiating. Many of the sets and accoutrements that are in that museum that you're seeing were mine. And he'll tell you all about that.
Do you see right through sticks? There happens to be one right there, Jim.
There it is.
Right there.
There it is, Sticky. That's my Leedy, my Leedy, my Con Leedy set.
Con Leedy. Butterfly silhouette.
Leedy Con. Anyways, that's a very rare head. And Tim actually, he was kind of on the fence about it, but Lynn, his partner says, I think it's cute. I think you should buy that. Yeah. So we made a deal along with a bunch of other very rare piece of hardware and other drums, but that's why that set's there. I'd love to hear you play that set sometime. So maybe if we continue with these interviews, maybe you can do a little bit of that for me because I'd love to hear you do it.
Well, we've been doing a little bit over the last couple of days. I think we used that one, yeah. And we had a lot of drummers around yesterday, and we had a lot of fun. We played quite a lot of the kits, and what a dream it is to do so. So I've got to thank you first for selling the drums to Tim. And Tim and I got to know each other online during lockdown time. And oddly enough, there was a message from Tim in was it March or April 2021 to say, well, maybe we'll hook up one day. It's good to meet each other in person. And it's 3.5 years later, here I am. And how the museum's grown and all these beautiful drums. But I tell you what, Jim, even if you weren't a drummer, you'd be fascinated by this museum. It's got such a lovely feel to it. It's a lovely display. And people could try things out. Tim will tell you all about all the stuff that's here. It's fantastic.
That is the selling point. That's what does it. I think when the drum community in general, in whole, not just the vintage drum community, when they finally find out, oh, there's this guy. Tim and I have talked about this a lot. There's this guy. His name is not totally crossed over yet, but in the vintage drum community, he's well known. But Tim, I think this is your year to break out to the general population of celebrity drummers, people like Sticky and Steve Smith. I think that's his favorite hangout now. Instead of going to the bar, he comes to the museum.
But yeah, I see yesterday.
Yes.
I was there yesterday having fun. And so that's the thing. You're right. It's going to be Tim's year because this place has got to be heard and seen by everybody. It's even slightly interesting because when I was doing my videos, most of the comments I got and the thank you for doing all this come from drummers that were only just beginning, or people that weren't even drummers. It's just because it's something interesting and different, and this is, and kids could, if you permit kids to come along and play, they're a fantastic thing to do. Because schools could come along and they'd be fascinated. Yeah, and of course, vintage drum collectors have been like myself, completely over the moon.
Why?
Have you fallen in love with a particular set yet? Have you fallen in love with a set yet, or is there any particular one that stands out? First of all, have you played them all? Or you been there, a day or two?
No, not quite all of them, but it's really hard. But I really like the Butterfly Girl, the lady, that one. I really feel like playing that. Tim's got
part of this is your set, Jim. I don't want to script the computer. We'll just turn it and I'll just go down just a little bit. That guy right there.
There it is, the famous Butterfly Girl. All right. Now,
just something about the look.
One thing that's cool.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, but they all sound brilliant. You can't really.
Tim, tell me about that. Tell me once again about that head. Tell me about the Butterfly Girl head.
1930. And it's in the catalog. It's a catalog's head. We'll just go down like this for a minute for our viewers. And she is blinking right now, but the lights are on. But this is original factory painted lady, 1930. This drum was actually owned by a guy, Arthur Nablin, who played in Connecticut at a grand theater there. And most of the set came from him. This right here, though, Jim, does this look familiar?
Where in the world did you ever find such a rare piece like that?
Well, some carnival barker conned me into buying it.
There's this guy in Florida, right?
That's the one. And and with that some kind of deal came. And I think this thing came with it. I mean, who wants that, right?
Now, folks, he's holding up Single and Black Beauty. Is that 16, 15? I don't know. No, it's all right.
So Sticky, let's ask him what he thinks about this drum.
Well,
yes.
This drum to me is the best one that I've played in this last couple of days here. It's got such brilliance and yet such depth of tone, and no real overtones to speak of at all. It's got it tuned beautifully. it sings. It's such a beautiful drum. It really is. Bit of my choice, you say, not because of the value of it, but the sound of it and everything. It's wonderful.
Now,
Wonderful
there
drum.
was a time when I had all three Slingerland Black Beauties. I had number 13. I had, believe it or not, number 14, which you've seen. I
Wow.
believe it visited the museum,
It
right?
visited yesterday. Did you see that?
Yeah, with some stranger that I don't know, but I'll find out. Yeah. Anyways, I had 14, and then we had 16. But I'm telling you, the tone on 16, the tuning on it, the way the guy liked to tune his drums was big, fat, beefy sound, and that drum sure came through and provided that. Whereas I never really heard number 14. So I don't know if Steve or anybody played it when he was there, but I'd
We
like to
all
hear it.
played it yesterday.
Yeah.
Did you
You had
play
the three
14?
lined up.
We had three of them lined up here. Three Black Beauties with all these star drummers here. What a day.
I'm going to show the picture.
What a
I
day.
have the picture. I'm going to show that.
What a day.
We got lots of pictures.
Now, other than me, I remember I made a video saying, what business do I have, with three Slingerland Black Beauty, three holy grails like that? Because when I first started collecting, there was maybe one that we knew of way back when. But since the internet and social media and websites like Vintage Drums Talk and the Northup Drum Museum, people are becoming more aware, just regular people that aren't even drummers. They'll say, hey, wait a minute. That drum that Grandpa has looks very much like the one they're talking about. And that's how these things are starting to come out of the bushes now. It's going to be interesting when it hits number 20. It's not quite there yet, but the way Tim's going, he'll probably own all 20 of them one day.
No, I only have two, and I'm working on my third, but I only have two.
When did you start collecting, Jim? When did you start collecting?
You want to see him get mad? All I have to do is say, Tim Northup from the lands of the rich and affluent.
He knows that's not true. He's been here for a few days. We live very meagerly.
You've probably experienced the Northup lifestyle. It's a fairy tale, I'm telling you. He's got this drum museum that is just heaven, beats any man cave that I've ever seen. He's got the lake house. He lives I call it the charmed world of Tim Northup. And really, we laugh a lot about that, but seriously, he's worked for every bit of what he's got, and he's still going strong by having people like you visit and endorse his museum that he's worked so hard to build.
He's worked really hard.
Like I said,
I've seen it taking shape, and it's so impressive. And it's heart, soul, and as all the money put into it is here, and the results are fantastic. I call him the magician. Everywhere another rabbit.
Now, tell me this, Sticky. Tell me, do you notice? And other people have noticed this, that the drums sound fantastic in that museum environment, and Tim's tuning has been, acknowledged as excellent. There's something that he does when he tunes up these snares, because you can't tune Chinese toms, but he's tuning bass drums and snares. And for some reason, everybody keeps commenting about, wow, these drums just sound fantastic in this room, in the barn or wherever you're at, the second floor there, Tim, right?
Basement level, low ceilings, tile floor, lots of oriental carpets that soak up that sound, and just a little enough reverb off the walls. I think that it's a great space for recording.
It's a live.
I wouldn't be surprised if
too live. Yeah,
I could see Sticky's next album is I can see that.
There you go.
Sticky Wicket live. Sticky Wicket live from the Northup Museum. That's right.
All right, there we go. Bring it on.
Yeah. Well,
So,
who knows?
Sticky, you've
Anything
got
can
what,
happen when
another
you're
day
with a
or
musician.
two?
Pardon? What was that?
You have
Sorry.
another day or two to visit?
No, sadly, well,
Do you have
we're
another
off
day or two?
tomorrow. We're going tomorrow. We're going on with my wife and I going to Cape Cod for our chill out because we've been touring up till we came here. Been touring since January on and off, and the big long tour in the States. So we're having a holiday and a honeymoon, a belated honeymoon in Cape Cod. So
It
By the
started here.
way,
yeah, it started here.
before
Pardon?
before I forget, I would like to congratulate you on your recent nuptials.
Thank you
Huh?
very much.
I saw pictures and I said, the guy hasn't changed at all. He's still from 1942. And I understand your wife plays.
Well, it's like the picture of Dorian Gray, isn't it? The picture indoors of. Sorry.
His
It's
wife
never
plays
too late,
congas.
folks.
Oh yeah,
What's that?
I got really lucky. I married a drummer. She's a cashless drummer, and we had a jam. She played with Steve and I were playing drums, and she played congas with us. So there's there could be some interesting clips come out eventually.
Now, I can't wait to get some of this footage because when I edit it out, it's going to come out great. I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Tim and I are currently working together. We did a whole Northup Sessions uh, series down here, and we will probably have more coming out
Right.
this, what, Tim, November?
Well, January when I come back, we'll do another whole session. If you ever
Right.
release the first session, you do that, I promise I'll do a second. I'll do a second volume with you.
He's, folks, he's waiting on me to edit out. We've done a whole great series that you're going to love.
It was good.
Now,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm waiting to get this sticky material and do something with it. Big things are happening with the Northup Museum right on the horizon here. There are still a lot of people that don't know of it. They just know of, I've heard of this guy. There's some guy out east that has all these drums. Well, we're here to clarify it for you, along
Yeah.
with Steve Wicket. And what we want to do is let the whole world know that you've got to book your appointment now before it's too late, because pretty soon there's going to be a 2 or 3 year waiting list.
I
Yeah.
don't know about that, but
Plus, you know what? Tim Northup has an antique gallery also, and I keep telling him he's going to have to give that up after a while because he's going to have so many people wanting to come and visit the museum. He's not going to have time for any antique gallery. He's got the Primo Museum, the Northup Vintage Drum Museum, along with Sticky Wicket, a very special guest from over the pond. And we're going to be back once again to talk with these two guys in just a little bit. This is Jim Messina from VintageDrumStalk.com saying, I bid you adieu and we'll be back. Oh.